With a 20-year reputation for clean business, Matt Glynn at Code Property Group is the first choice for real estate on the Sunshine Coast and surrounding areas. I've known Matt for a very long time from a personal level and professional level, and he is an excellent real estate agent. He's professional, he holds a high level of integrity, he presents incredibly well, and has a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to the real estate industry. So if you are in the market to buy, sell, or simply get a valuation and find out more about your current property, then give Matt a call on 0404 315 066 or matt.glynn, Glynn, at codepg.com. You won't be disappointed. Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. This week is a cracking one because I'm going to address some simple things regarding nutrition that can really help you out. So grab a pen, grab some paper, sit back, take notes because there's plenty of good detail and content in this to help you make smarter decisions around your nutrition, in particular if you are trying to lose weight. But on top of that, if you're just trying to improve your health, whether it's your cholesterol, whether it's your energy, your sleep, there's so many things out there that we eat and we just make the assumption that it's healthy. But in point of fact is health is determined by what your goals actually are. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to sharpen up your physique, if you're trying to produce more energy, if you're trying to think more clearly, if you're always tired, always fatigued, all these things can come back to food. So we want to make sure that what you're putting in your stomach is relevant to your goals. It's like putting, high quality petrol into your car against putting kerosene into your car. The kerosene may work for a little bit of time, but it's going to splutter. It's going to, cause a lot of problems long term. Whereas putting a high quality petrol in your car, well, it's going to run really smoothly. And the same thing goes for your body. If you put a high quality amount of nutrition in your body, it's going to run a long time. If you put rubbish and ultra processed food and high fatty food, high sodium food in your body, well, guess what? You're going to feel sluggish. You're going to feel flat. Your energy's not going to be there. You're going to put on weight. You're not going to think clearly. Fatigue's going to mount up and it speaks for itself. So I'm going to go through a select number of different food items, a lot of common ones. Identify the one that I feel can be substituted out for something that's leaner or just more conducive to a healthier option. So we're going to start with protein. So make sure you got your pen and your paper ready. Proteins. All right, everyone that is obviously non-vegan or non-vegetarian has a form of protein. A lot of people undereat on protein, but that's another story altogether. So, first one, chicken thigh. Okay, chicken thigh surprisingly is a very fatty part of the bird. It's one of the cheapest parts of the bird, so hence why a lot of people buy it. Right, we're in a cost of living crisis. We go for affordability a lot of the time, and that's the basis for our decision making around shopping. Unfortunately, it is a very fatty part of the bird. The option, obviously, is chicken breast or a tenderloin as an alternative, significantly less in terms of fat. Yes, you're going to pay a touch more, but shop around. Don't be afraid to shop around in terms of pricing. Different supermarkets offer different savings. Go into an independent as well. I shop at my local butcher. Firstly, yes, I may pay $1 or $2 more a kilo, but I know I'm getting quality product as well. Chicken wings. All right, chicken wings are the fattiest part of the bird, without fail. As tasty as they are, and I'm a massive chicken wing fan, you can't rely on chicken wings as a source of protein. Firstly, because there's very little on it, but secondly, they are very, very fatty. So, as an option, go for grilled chicken strips. Get some tenderloins and crumb them up. Put some herbs and spices on them and grill them on the barbie. Straight away, tasty alternative and a lot less fat. All right, now mince. Mince is very commonly used, whether you use it as a means to make a stir fry, a shepherd's pie, look, there's so many options to it. But a lot of the minces that are available are very, very high in fat, particularly the budget mince, because of the type of meat that they use. So you want to make sure that you get the extra lean beef mince. Okay, I'm talking beef specifically here, because at the end of the day, we all need iron that comes from red meat. So you want to make sure that you get the extra lean. So 5% or less is ideal. So always look at the label and check out the percentage of fat content. And normally most good products do advertise. Now, when you go to a butcher, obviously they're not going to say that. So talk to the butcher, get to know your butcher, and understand what type of meat he uses, how he concocts his mince, because some of them put in a lot of additives and things like that. And make sure that it's 5% or less. Now, pork chops are obviously a very tasty part of the animal. Pork loin is the better option, because straight away you're taking away that strip of crackling, or that strip of fat. It's trimmed, and it's just a leaner part of the meat. So same thing again. Now, in terms of other parts, other sort of meat sources like sausages, for example, okay, all sausages are fatty. We can't get away from that. The only one that is not is kangaroo. If you have kangabangers, they are ridiculously lean, and they are a great source of protein. It's a superfood, in my opinion. So don't be afraid to try it. Yes, it's a little bit strange because you're eating Skippy, but at the same time, if your objective is about eating leaner meats, eating healthier, and getting that high quality protein in, well, guess what? Kangabangers are right up there when it comes to quality of protein. Now, a lot of people love salmon. They really do. Salmon, look, from a health perspective only, it is very good because it contains a lot of omegas, a lot of fatty acids and oils that are really, really good for you from a skin perspective, from a hormonal perspective. But fat is still fat at the end of the day. And if your objective is to maintain weight or lose weight or just improve your physique overall, you need to opt for a whitefish, a white flesh fish, a cod, a barramundi, a flathead, a whiting, a reef fish of some description, a snapper example, will get you home. They're ridiculously lean, they're very healthy for you, and can be obviously very versatile in the way you cook them as well. Another protein source is eggs. Everyone loves eggs. At the moment, there's a shortage on eggs, and they are very pricey. But when you use eggs, obviously you use the entire egg, the egg white and the egg yolk. Now, the fat is actually in the egg yolk. There's very little fat in the egg white. But if you're making a quiche, if you're making an omelette, if you're making scrambled eggs, if you're making egg muffins, you can sort of, I guess, concoct the recipe around more egg white in terms of ratio against egg yolk. You can actually buy egg whites on their own. You can get them in the freezer section or the dairy section. And so you can add in a lot more egg white so that the ratio to egg yolk is quite high. And that therefore allows you to get a lot of protein in with a much more controlled ratio of fat. Tuna is another one. So canned tuna in particular, if you go straight for like raw tuna, it's it's a very oily fish, so it is going to contain a lot more fat. Tuna, mackerel, and salmon are probably the most oiliest of fishes, so you just have to be careful there. But tuna in a can, and it's obviously quite a prevalent product in the supermarket. Tuna in oil, no good. Tuna in spring water, very good. Okay, just that plain tuna. Now, when you add in the flavors, and there's so many flavors now to canned tuna, you've got to be careful about the fat content. Some of them are quite high per serve. As good as they're tasting, whether it's tomato and basil, or some of them do like curry and corn and sweet chili and all these sorts of things. But you've got to be very careful of the fat. So when you use those smaller cans, look for anything sub 5 grams of fat. Lower is better, of course. All right, in terms of processed deli meat, so your hams, your salami, your pepperoni, your roast beef, like all of these things that are processed and served in a deli, the best option you can get out of those is sliced chicken breast or sliced turkey breast. Unfortunately, a lot of them, while they may be relatively lean, they're just heavily processed. And when they're processed, what they're made up of, well, you really don't want to know. If you do want to know, YouTube it. But second to that, the sodium level in them is out of control, which will spike your weight straight away. So as good as they can be, stick with the ones I mentioned, the chicken breast or the turkey breast, and you're generally going to be fine in regards to that. So you can sort of get the theme in regards to protein here and where I'm going. I'm always looking for a leaner option, a cleaner option as well, and obviously a less processed option. Now, when it comes to vegetables, look, there are obviously a lot of healthier options that can be chosen. A lot of people tend to gravitate towards hot chips and baked potato chips, but you can make your own. And when you make your own, straight away you're reducing the fat content by probably a third. And with the influx of air fryers these days, you can make really nice potato chips at home using stock standard charisma potatoes or even sweet potato. And just I make them most nights. And what I do is I cut the potato up quite thin or in small cubes. I douse it in herbs and spices. I've got my own spice mix here, plus salt, and that's all I need, and that is more than satisfying. So that's a really good one. Now, beyond the potato, we've got mashed potato. Now, a lot of people love mashed potato. The reason it is so good and so popular is because of its creaminess, and that's done through the use of either oil, butter, or cream. Now, unfortunately, all three of those products are very fatty. So as an alternative, you can use like a skim milk, you can use an almond milk, or you can even try and implement a ratio where you get more pumpkin into the mix, because pumpkin's actually a creamier root vegetable, and it actually adds a really good element to it, and it's a lot lower in calories than potato, believe it or not, as well. Now, in terms of other potential vegetable sort of swaps, fried onion rings, obvious one, just go for grilled onion. Onion is actually a really low calorie option, and it's a sweet product, believe it or not. It's actually quite sweet. When your taste buds are normalized and they're not obviously impacted by an influx of heavily processed sweet food, onion is actually substantially sweet. So is like capsicum, carrot, beans. Like they're actually sweet vegetables. So you'd be surprised when you have that ability to taste them properly. So look, they're probably the main ones. It all comes down to what you add with them as well. But what I tend to favour when it comes to vegetable intake is broccoli, green beans, asparagus, zucchini, cucumber, obviously lettuce, cauliflower, carrot. There's plenty there to do. Plenty. Now, in regards to fruits, similar in a lot of ways. At the end of the day, fruits are still very lean. There's not a lot of fat to them other than avocado. So it's to be done in moderation. Like if you have 3 or 4 bananas in a smoothie, well, guess what? Your carbohydrates intake is going to be massive. Same with like mango. Mango is very heavy in fructose, which is natural sugar. But fruits that are you get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of high volume and low calories are things like watermelon, rock melon, pineapple. They're fantastic. They also provide hydration. They're awesome. If you cut up a heap of pineapple, put it in your container, take it to work, it's an amazing snack in the morning. It really is. It's going to hydrate you. It's going to give you energy. It's very nutritious. It's packed full of vitamin C. So why wouldn't you? Really. Dried fruits can be interesting. So dates, raisins, sultanas, those sorts of things, very high in sugar, just naturally high in sugar. So you have to be careful, depending if they've been processed or not, if they're out of a container. So fresh berries are definitely a better alternative there. You can obviously get a lot of fresh berries from the markets, from the supermarkets, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, things like that. They're very low in calories. They're very high in antioxidants, so they're very good for you. And the sugar content is very controllable in regards to that. So, if you ever make your own smoothie, acai bowl, fruit bowl, things like that, just be aware of the best proportion of fruit allocation. If you're making a smoothie, a little bit of banana is fine, and then more strawberries, more berries is going to serve you really well, because you're going to get more bang for your buck. You're going to get a lot of flavor, a lot of impact from the antioxidants, but you're not going to have an overconsumption of carbohydrate. Now, moving into dairy. This is a good one because a lot of people fail in this regard when it comes to dairy. Yogurt's a perfect one. There's so many yogurts available now, and many of them claim to be low sugar, low fat, etc. The best ones on the market are your Greek yogurts, your non-fat Greek yogurts. Chobani's a prime example. They took the market by storm, and they're still dominating today, and plenty have come up with their own alternatives in terms of products and brands, but Chobani is still very much the leaders in that field. And surprisingly, Greek yogurt is very, very versatile when it comes to cooking. You can use it in place of sour cream. You can use it in place of cream cheese. You can use it in place of milk. You can use it in place of, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Potentially butter as well when you're making cakes and breads and like anything that you bake. There's so many recipes available now online that utilize Greek yogurt as one of its foundational ingredients, and that gives you such a healthier option. Because if you're making a cake or a brownie or a muffin or whatever, it's generally got sugar, it's generally got butter, flour, cream, milk. Straight away, there's so many fat content items there that it just blows up in your face in terms of calories. Whereas if you can substitute a lot of those for Greek yogurt straight away, you're on the front foot in terms of control of calorie intake. Now, milk's another one. Full cream milk. Look, as a young person, absolutely have it. It is very important. But as a person who's trying to control weight or lose weight, the obvious option is to switch to skim. Now, many people argue it doesn't taste the same. Well, guess what? You've got to suck it up if you want to make some changes to your lifestyle and improve your health, okay? And sometimes we have to sacrifice things. Alternatively, go for, an alternative milk, like an almond milk. Oat milks aren't too bad. I like coconut milk personally. Go for an unsweetened one, of course. Straight away, that reduces the sugar intake. So you've got control over sugar and fat when it comes to the milk, whether it's in your coffee or your cereal or anything else that you have. As I mentioned earlier, if you're a big sour cream fan, straight away opt for Greek yogurt. Yes, it's not exactly the same in terms of texture, but also in terms of bitterness and flavor. But it's going to give you a similar outcome in terms of presentation and consumption, but the calories are so much lower. In regards to ice cream, okay, this is an interesting one because there's a lot of protein-based ice creams on the market, like Halo Top, like Fro Pro. Man, I don't like them at all. Seriously. If you have a look at the ingredients, there are so many rubbish ingredients in there, and there's a lot of hidden calories in there as well. My suggestion, and I actually put this on a lot of people's meal plans, is just a light and creamy Paul's or Peter's vanilla ice cream. Just have ice cream for what it is, okay? You can control your consumption by the amount you have. You don't need to eat a whole container. But when you're going down the path of Halo Top and protein ice cream and low sugar ice cream, low fat ice creams, then it's not real food. So why bother doing it, honestly? Now, in regards to butter, look, butter's an interesting one. Stay clear of margarine because that's not a food, in my opinion. Butter is very fatty, of course. You can get light butter, similar to light milk. You can get avocado spread. Another alternative, actually, which a lot of people tend to like, is hummus. Believe it or not, it still provides a creamy finish because it's made out of chickpeas. But again, you've just got to be very much aware of the fat content within those things. So there's a lot of good alternatives there that can really, set you up for success when it comes to food selection and also the long-term outcome. Now, the final one I wanted to touch on was the fats within our food, and the common fats like peanut butter, as an example, mayonnaise, cooking oil, are primary ones. Now, peanut butter, everyone loves peanut butter, okay? It's a hard one to find an alternative for, but there are some on the market. There's actually peanut butter powder available, and very good ones at that. Macro Mike makes one. There is another product, I can't remember the name of it. Now, these taste just like peanut butter, but there's no oil in them because it's a powder. So all you have to do is add water to it. You still get the same flavor, but you're removing so much fat out of it. Unfortunately, I've gone through nearly every peanut butter product that's available to look for the least fat option, and they're all relatively the same. They all range from anywhere from sort of 15 grams of fat down to, say, 7 grams of fat per serve. So obviously look for the leanest one and control your intake, but if you wanted to really reduce the fat content, go for the powder. Now, in terms of mayonnaise, going back to my previous point, Greek yogurt. It is a very good alternative. You can obviously get light mayo as well. And there are actually a lot of recipes online, believe it or not, where you can make your own mayo, because obviously mayonnaise is based on eggs, right? So you can make your own mayo. That is a very lean option. So definitely worth researching there. Another one that a lot of people overlook, and I often identify this as a nutritional leak, is cooking oil. We often use cooking oil when we cook things in fry pans, maybe on the barbecue, hot plate, etc. That oil can get absorbed up into the food that you're cooking it in. So it is very much increasing your fat intake simply by adding it there without any awareness of it. So straight away, going from oil to a spray can significantly reduce the volume that you're using. Second to that, another thing that a lot of people overlook is that you can buy these hot plate, I don't even know what they're called, hot plate covers. It's like a material that you use, and my dad actually came across these when he was cooking on like public barbecues in parks. So it's like, it comes in a roll like an alfoil. You can buy it at pretty much any camping store. You basically cut the size that you want, you put it over the hot plate, and it's not affected by heat, and you cook directly on that. So firstly, you're not contacting food with the old hot plate, so it's a great hygiene thing. But secondly, it's non-stick. So you can use this at home, and that's going to reduce any lubrication that you need from cooking oils of any description. It's a great product. You don't get any uptake from the material into the food. It's perfectly safe. I just can't, the name escapes me, but I guarantee if you walked into BCF or Anaconda, you'd be able to find it easy enough. The only other one that I've got listed in front of me that is potentially worth mentioning is nuts. Now, nuts vary. There's a lot of really fatty nuts, like a cashew, like a Brazil nut, like a hazelnut, like a walnut. And then there are some that have less fat, but still fat, and that's an almond. So if you are one that likes to pick at nuts, just choose your nut wisely. It sounds so silly saying this. Go for a raw almond. If you're not into almonds, and would rather something else, you're just going to have to, again, suck it up and sacrifice, because sometimes this is for the better good. Like, you don't get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of nuts. They really do bring a massive punch when it comes to fat. And if you sit and eat a whole bag, that's a lot of fat that your body's got to try and process and go through. And chances are it's not going to use it in the sitting that you're in. So very much control your portion sizes if you want to stick with nuts. Otherwise, just get rid of them altogether. Otherwise, go with almonds and just minimize the amount that you have on a daily basis. So look, that's going to give you some fairly significant insight into options that you can have. Other ones that are less common, I was thinking of, like chocolate, for example. You can get dark chocolate as an alternative. It's generally healthier. It doesn't necessarily mean it's leaner. But a lot of people I've turned on to making a chocolate dessert. So whenever you're going through a dieting phase, a weight loss phase, or you're just trying to clean up your diet and your nutrition, chocolate's one that generally needs to go, right? And a lot of people really struggle with that. A great alternative I've come up with is a low-fat Greek yogurt mixed with a chocolate protein powder. Straight away, you get the chocolate flavor, you get the sweet taste. It's a dessert, so immediately your brain thinks you're having something sweet. And you can eliminate the chocolate bar and substitute this for a protein dessert, basically. So you're getting a pack of protein as well. So it works in a number of different ways, and it's very effective. And look, if chocolate's not your go, you can obviously get any flavored protein, strawberry, banana, vanilla, whatever, and mix it in. And it works really, really well. So that's obviously a good option as well. So I think I've covered most main things, but I welcome any other comments. Like if you've listened to this and you go, oh, what about this? Send me a message, DM me. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions in regards to good alternatives, but they're the main ones. I think protein's the biggest one that a lot of people fall down on. A lot of people eat salmon, a lot of people eat lamb, a lot of people eat pork, a lot of people eat mince that is not extra lean, and straight away the fat content is through the roof, and that's where people are struggling, even though they think they're eating healthy, and from that overarching perspective, they generally are. So again, if you've got any other food options that I haven't covered in this particular podcast, send me a message, send me an email, reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to collaborate and chat to you and give you some alternatives. But hopefully that has given you some insight and some pretty simple yet very effective ways to swap food out and make your nutritional profile a lot more pleasing and favorable to whatever the goal is that you're looking for. And remember, this is primarily based around weight loss, weight management, but also just an overall improvement in your health. And if you stick to those sort of alternatives for a period of time, remember, it's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take time for your body to adapt. Give it a couple of weeks minimum. You'll start to feel the advantages and the changes that are coming. And that includes, obviously, a reduction in fatigue, an increase in energy, improvement in training performance, an improvement in sleep, better management of stress, and obviously, a reduction in weight in terms of your physique as well. Okay, well, thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Once again, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please screenshot and share it to your stories. Tag myself at Paul's Body Engineering. If you're interested in any of my coaching services, whether be it membership, coaching one-on-one, online, fitness business coaching, please jump on my website, paulsbodyengineering.com. Have a look around. Alternatively, reach out to me directly, DM me, send me an email and inquire, and I'm more than happy to arrange a free consult for you, whether it's via Zoom or face-to-face. But apart from that, as I say to every client, every single day, have a great day. Experience the difference with Matt Glynn at Code Property Group. With a 20-year reputation of a clean business, Matt is your guy when it comes to all things real estate. Make sure you give him a call now on 0404 315 066.